Episode 19.
What's going on, Internet? I'm Christopher Peterson, and you're listening to the NerdEXP Podcast. Today I have the pleasure of hanging out with a guy with more guitars than fingers.
That's incorrect, but that's Guillermo here.
And not Drew.
That is correct.
That's what we call a callback. If this is your first time listening, you don't get that reference. But if you're a returning listener, thanks. This week we're going to go through the top entertainment headlines, talk about comics, movies, games, and we're also going to spend a good time kind of running down Warner Brothers' recent slated movies through 2020.
Who?
The point of all this? To start a conversation and help you level up your nerd IQ. We're going to start off with listener questions. We've got input from a friend of the show, Edgar.
Hey.
He says that Friends is coming to Netflix in 2015, and he's super excited about it, and wants to know if we are too. My response: nope. I don't think it's possible for me to get excited about something on Netflix that I've already seen.
Okay.
Like the original programming.
You watched it?
Yeah, I saw Friends already.
You saw the whole thing?
Yeah. Well, I probably saw 80% of it. I'm sure I missed some episodes.
Okay. Did you see it, Drew?
I watched a few reruns on TBS.
That's right. Drew doesn't watch TV regularly.
See, I'm one of those that I cannot say that I've watched a single episode of Friends.
No way.
Not a single. I mean, I've seen parts of episodes. So for me, this is one show that I've always been interested in watching. Maybe. So this is pretty cool for somebody. And maybe, you know, there was that generation. Like, I mean, this is a pretty good consensus here. There was that generation, somebody who watched it, somebody that kind of watched it and knows the, you know, somewhat, and then somebody that has no idea, knows the characters, knows the theme song, but has never seen an episode. So I think there's a lot of us like me who missed it, and now with this Netflix deal, it's great. I mean, it's relevant. I mean, every time you get, you know, Friends was 6 people, right?
Yep.
6? There was 6 of them. Every time 2 of them get together, it's huge news on anything. So Friends is still a big deal. I'll be interested to see it. Now, it's going to be like, what, 180 episodes or something crazy like that?
I guess. I don't know the math. I think it was on for 10 seasons, so I would assume that's
more than
200 and some.
Whew.
Yeah.
I'm in for a while.
And even just now, you were talking about moving something. I was making a Friends reference when I was yelling, pivot, pivot, pivot.
Oh.
We didn't get it.
When you get to season 7, oh man, you're going to laugh.
I want to laugh.
Remember this moment.
But there were a lot of like one-liners. I mean, similar. You know, I experienced something like what you called it, a cult show, like How I Met Your Mother. Like it's definitely has its following.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And definitely references like, you know, things that you can just reference later on. And
if How I Met Your Mother was as popular as Friends. That's a weird way to phrase that sentence. I don't think How I Met Your Mother was as popular as Friends.
Okay.
Even if it did have the same amount of ratings, I don't think it had the same mind share. Just because there's more shows now.
I think that's what it was.
Back then. Like,
what competed against Friends? King of Queens, Roseanne. I don't know. Is that old?
Seinfeld in the
earlier
days.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they were all on that NBC block. All right, I'm surprised. I'm surprised you guys are excited, just because I just kind of met this with such.
Whoa, you guys?
Guillermo is excited.
That's right. Me and the client, just like me.
I'm not like upset about it or anything. Just not excited.
I just probably won't watch it. Like, you know, it came out. It's coming. That's cool. Glad people have a chance.
Rainy day for me, maybe.
But
yeah, it's gonna take a rainy freaking month to get through that.
Well, good thing you live in Florida.
Yeah, we just passed that. Now it's starting to get cold. So, good move for Netflix. Again, another victory for Netflix. This is a huge score for them, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Huge score for them. They keep going. I mean,
I'm just waiting for more Cartoon Network.
More Cartoon Network from them?
Everything they have is only like the first 2 seasons of any Cartoon Network show, and after that it just cuts off.
What are we talking Cartoon Network show? Like new Cartoon Network?
Yeah, and classic. I mean, all I watch is Avenger Brothers.
Venture.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I said Venture, not Adventure. Venture.
Beats me.
They only have 2 seasons, but there's actually 5.
It's an Adult Swim
Oh, yeah.
that came on.
Mm-hmm. So, but I know it's true of
For a while, I think Netflix released like Space Ghost. I was pretty excited, and then I started watching like 1 or 2 episodes, and then quickly decided to not be excited about it.
That's the right decision.
It was one of those shows that as a kid, I'm like, maybe someday I'll grow to like this. Still don't like it.
I can't watch old stuff anymore. Maybe that's why like some of the Friends like news, because I mean those episodes, it's going to be in like SD. It probably will even like block your television into a square as opposed to like widescreen because it is that older format.
I'm going to have it in 4K.
Time to dig up the old Tube TV, man.
Yeah.
I'll bring it out again.
I'm surprised it hasn't been remastered. I mean,
I'm sure it has. I'm sure it has. It hasn't been released on Blu-ray, I don't think.
That's what I'm talking about. Like,
Have they remastered
HD
shows?
remaster. Yeah.
Yeah,
Alright,
absolutely.
sorry.
The Wire is being remastered right now.
I mean, they still film.
I'm
Like,
waiting
they
for
use
that.
film. So I'm sure the film is in widescreen, and they had to cut it to fit it.
Fair enough. Speaking of The Wire, HBO is going to go standalone in 2015.
HBO Go.
HBO Go.
Okay.
So you can presumably go to HBOGo.com and pay HBO to have that service, just like Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime. You don't have to go through your local cable provider.
Or your best friend who just gives you your login, just in case. Crazy news. This is the first cable provider to do that. Everybody else has gone, you got to go through your service provider. This is the first cable channel to say, we're independent and we're going to
But it's also
collect our own
premium
revenue.
cable.
Right, but I mean, this is the first one that's actually charging outside of like a Hulu or a Netflix or something like that. This is just HBO is going to take revenue. I think the price point is probably going to be $20 a month.
At least 20.
Whoa, you think so?
Oh yeah,
I pay $10 through my local provider for
Seriously?
HBO Go.
after you pay, you already pay $80 just to have the channel. Like
No, he doesn't have. You don't have HBO, right?
No, so I mean like
Because they introduced the thing with Comcast.
right. So I pay for my internet, and then I pay for HBO Go, and that's all I pay for.
and you only pay $10 for HBO.
Right,
Go.
it's like $10 extra.
I would gladly pay $10 for that.
So
Even though I'm getting it for free now. I mean, I love HBO Go. I've went
killed
through
quite a few
phases.
shows.
Yeah, I went through phases where I was using it more than Netflix.
I hope every network goes this way. Like, you know, I would love for Comcast business model is outdated from a television standpoint, and they're obviously choking our internet. That's a whole other conversation.
Always dreamed about a like build your own cable sort of thing, and this is
That's where it's
the
going
next
to.
best thing. Yeah.
I mean, as long as we get to a point where it's not like, hey, $10 for Fox, $10 for ABC, $10 for CBS, then obviously like.
But why
you know,
not? Why not? I mean, as long as they don't start limiting. Here's the trend that I'm seeing, and I'm surprised. When in the beginning days of Hulu and HBO Go, they limited the amount of users. Netflix now absolutely does it. They limit the amount of users that can view the account at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So the sharing is not that. People don't exploit that. I think HBO Go, once they go standalone, it's probably going to be just like that. One license, so one channel.
And that's the way it should be. Like, it is kind of. I mean, it's stealing. It is, piggybacking, and it's not appropriate. Maybe 2 licenses, because it is conceivable that you would be able to watch 2 things in your house. But like,
Pay a smaller fee to share.
But anything beyond
Same
that
with
is
Netflix,
Yeah.
something like that.
ridiculous. My thing is, HBO Go doesn't have commercials, and that's the way it should be. Like, HBO Go, Netflix have it. Hulu,
They do play ads for their own shows at the very beginning of the episode,
I'm okay with that.
but yeah, that's fine. And they're quick.
Fast forward through. But like the fact that I pay for Hulu every month and I still get served commercials infuriates me.
But you notice-
it's like this double dipping.
Right, but you've noticed, though, it's only a certain shows. So, like, the
Every show I watch.
NBC shows, right, it's the NBC shows, the Fox shows, but a lot of the content on Hulu does not have commercials.
I watch anime and there's so many commercials on that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought...
Fox has their own app where you can watch for free their shows.
Like their
with
most
commercials,
recent episodes.
but
though.
it's free.
Yeah.
Their most recent
Yeah,
episodes.
that's true. You got to keep up with it. That's how I watched the premiere of Gotham.
Okay.
It was on their app.
That's pretty good. I mean, it, like I said, another HBO Go, they're going to be the pioneers on it. And what I'm seeing, they're going to make sure that this thing is in place before Game of Thrones returns, which is in... When does it return? October or sometime this month already?
Really?
Does
Totally
or
missed
is it
that.
until next year?
Yeah, I mean, because the last season, I think, started in January.
Okay, so it'll probably be like they'll be in place by the new year. Plus, you got True Detective coming up,
Yeah.
so they're just gonna capitalize on that. I'm just still waiting for the AMC to start capitalizing on that a little bit more with as crazy of following that they have with their shows.
Speaking of AMC, Walking Dead had their highest ratings ever in the season 5 premiere with 17.3 million viewers. The only reason this kind of struck out at me, I stopped watching Walking Dead in season 2. And like I saw kind of an episode here and there and had no interest in keep watching it. And like the people I talked to, I thought they were in the same boat. I didn't realize the show was still snowballing and becoming more and more popular.
Man, people go home on Sunday nights. They bail on you just so they can watch this show. It's how big this is. I mean,
They don't want to come over and watch the Oscars.
That's
because
right.
They want to watch Walking Dead.
The Oscars. Oh no, we can't. It's the newest episode of Walking Dead, and it's crazy. And I feel it for them. Like whenever Lost was ending, whenever even How I Met Your Mother was ending, I felt like I could not miss an episode because nowadays we're so spoiled with this social media, and people are like live tweeting and posting blogs as the show is happening. So it's unless you really don't even check the internet for the next while or watch TV for the next while, it's gonna get spoiled. You have you run the risk of the plot being spoiled. So I understand the craziness of watch it first, be the first to react. So that's what I think that show has going for it, that people don't want to miss. They might have a weak episode here and there, but just the fact that people are so into it, and that's what everybody's talking about. I mean, the thing premiered in everywhere. The whole zombies deal it's the most successful I think any franchise has been with zombies ever. I mean, even more than I think before that I could think of Resident Evil. And
I don't think there's ever anything on television that I can think of.
no, but just
yeah,
zombies,
yeah,
other
not on TV.
like in anything, popular media.
Of the
Zombies.
Dead movies, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, that's the next biggest thing after Walking Dead.
Yeah, but that it's not as big as this Walking Dead. Walking Dead has made zombies mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get their own convention and all that.
Yeah,
And charity walks.
and runs.
I haven't watched the show since episode 2 myself, so...
I have never seen an episode of Walking Dead, so maybe it'll hit Netflix in 2020.
It's already there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, not...
They just
Slated to, like,
recently put up the last season 4.
So season 1, 2, 3, and 4 are there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Huh.
Season 1, like, I watched, and, like, episode 1, it was like, oh, man, they're gonna scare me. Oh, something's gonna jump out. Something's gonna jump out. And nothing ever did. And then after that, it just became, like, a dumb drama action show
Okay.
for me. So...
It's surprisingly gory for television, but...
It
other
is
than
AMC.
that, like, from what I've seen, yeah.
AMC managed to show boobs in the premiere of their Madman.
Really?
Breaking Bad had some as well.
Right, in the first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, as well.
It's their trademark.
Yes, yeah. The
First episode.
First
boobs.
episode. Let's get them hooked, guys. We gotta show the boobs.
Another first episode that didn't have boobs
Oh.
was The Flash. Highest ratings for CW with 6.4 million.
That's a big deal.
Almost a third of The Walking Dead, which, I mean, CW's kind of always been a struggling network, but it's just so crazy to think, like, still that main, like, CW's a basic cable channel,
Yeah.
and it drew less than AMC, which is kind of a premium cable. Maybe not everybody has that in their package, but I guess, coming back, it does speak to the power of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, but you're talking about something. Let's compare apples to apples. Let's pull the numbers for Walking Dead episode 1 and compare it to The Flash. I guarantee you The Flash killed it. CW has been, I mean, for it to be the highest rating in CW, that's a good testament that the audience is there, that the show created the right buzz. I mean, CW, this is the one that had Smallville.
Yep.
What other superheroes? Arrow, it's a big one now. At some point it had Birds of Prey. All those have been comic book related, targeted towards the younger audiences. So Flash does it just as well. I think that's a good testament to know that it actually did do well.
I saw the pilot for Flash. It was a good, solid pilot. It did everything it needed to do. I'm definitely interested in keep watching the show.
How's the character or the actor?
I mean, he's good. They're kind of taking it as kind of a more flighty, kind of head in the clouds viewpoint. He plays a forensic scientist who is not capable. Like, he's just a science geek. Like, he's not physically capable pre-superpowers.
Okay.
So I guess it's kind of that like pre-Peter Parker dorky aspect, and they definitely kind of have that going for his character. But it works. He's definitely kind of likable throughout it, and I can definitely see the show growing. And it has a good premise. In classic CW fashion, kind of like you said, Arrow, Smallville. Even right from the pilot, they were like, you know what? We have a formula that we know that works. We're going to have a hero. We're going to introduce his techie sidekicks that are going to say it in the background and talk to him in his ear and help him out with computer hacking. And then just kind of move forward from there. So you're absolutely right. CW's been around this block before, and they know what they're doing at this point.
Did something that we talked about in this podcast before was when the first video of The Flash got released after Comic-Con, I think it was, and we actually got to see the full suit in motion. I remember I had a problem with it because it looked kind of weird, and the chin piece of the mask was definitely weird. How does it look as after you see it? I mean, is it something that it looks good once it actually sees in motion, or?
I mean, I was fine with it, but that chin piece is there. So you may try and explain this suit in kind of a semi-logical way. Not the chin piece, but just the suit at all. It's fine. Like, I didn't have any problems with it. Until you mentioned it, I didn't even remember complaining about it previously. So I think in the moment, like, it's not as noticeable.
How does it compare to Arrow and Gotham? Too early to say.
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely more lighthearted than both of those shows, even though it's kind of done by the team as Arrow. Arrow is basically Batman. They took the Batman premise and applied it to Oliver Queen for that show. He's dark, he's brooding. He talks about protecting his city and his mission, which is very Batman-centric themes. Mm-hmm. Flash is definitely going to be more lighthearted, and even just like from the get-go, I mean, the premise, Flash running around being super fast is so different than Arrow, which really didn't have too many metahumans and superpowers. And even like the little inklings that they did, they always tried to explain it with science or whatnot. And this is just going to be crazy, like, particle effects and negative rays and antimatter, and we're gonna have a guy shoot lightning bolts out of his hand because it looks cool. So it definitely a different feel. This will be more comic booky than either of those shows.
And we'll talk a little bit more about this, but since we're in the topic, do you think the announcements out of DC that came out today, which we'll talk about here shortly, do you think that's going to reduce the audience, like cause less interest on this Flash, since we already know, or it's been kind of quote-unquote confirmed that this isn't the same Flash we're going to see in the Justice League? Do you think that's going to detract a couple viewers from it?
Shows always kind of drop off. I feel like pilots always have a spike, and you always see a drop afterwards. And this, will follow the same suits. It'll just be interesting to see what audience it does keep. Because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. last year premiered really well, or good at the very least. But then its ratings did drop down. I don't think this should impact it. I think anybody who ever for a second expected DC to cross over the Green Arrow character and Flash of the television show to their movies was kidding themselves. DC's never operated that way. Like when they had Superman Returns hit theaters, Tom Welling was playing Clark Kent in Smallville, and they had no crossover or nudge, or even have Tom play like a younger flashback character. So I would be surprised if anybody's legitimately shocked. Like when I saw the news stories, like, hey, Flash is different. I'm like, hey, that's a non-news story. So thanks for taking the time to write up nothing.
That's pretty interesting.
So.
Good to hear. I guess we'll find out once episode 2 to see what really that drop off would be.
Moving on to comic news. Just a couple stories came out of New York Comic Con. Marvel's kind of trying to ramp up and get things more aggressive. This past year they had some good success with a Guardians of the Galaxy X-Men crossover, so they are going to do a sequel to that. Sequels always do better than the original. This one, the premise is that there's some warp hole which they go through, and then their powers become supercharged, and everybody becomes like super cosmic powered level of themselves. I'm sure they'll fight each other at some point.
What is Star-Lord's power? Does he just become stronger?
He's a bigger asshole. That's
Nice.
You guys left it hanging. I have to take it.
So
all right. So what? I mean, so this is, I guess, big on the franchise of Guardians of the Galaxy. Do you think we'll get to see maybe some tie-ins into the movies? I mean, this is a new storyline. It seems Marvel that now kind of rules its own universe. It's going to generate buzz, I'm sure.
The comics are so different from the movies.
Who's the publisher on this one? That usually tells
Marvel.
you. Right, but it's usually like Marvel and somebody else.
Marvel owns all the comic rights.
Right.
So, and they own X-Men and Guardians, so they're just doing it all in-house.
Okay. So just Marvel Comics and all that.
So, this is just them trying to capitalize on that movie buzz and, keep both franchises going. Trying to create more interconnected universe. The X-Men kind of always had, like, leanings towards space. So I guess it's just trying to rebuild that cosmic universe and get that more touch points to get more people interested and try and bleed over. Which is always interesting because I don't, kind of looking at numbers, I don't think any of these movie successes have brought any new comic book readers to comic book stores.
I don't think that's the case.
Way.
I don't think. Yeah, I think so.
I think it's probably more true with children. It's probably starting a lot of children reading comics.
Yeah, I think that really is the case. Maybe the big buzz. Maybe the Guardians of the Galaxy didn't do it, but let's think like when we hit the whole 90s, had minimum number of comic book movies other than early on with Batman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, right? What else did I miss in the 90s for superheroes?
Darkman.
And at some point there was a Supergirl movie. I think that was in the 90s, or maybe that was late 80s.
That was 80s.
Yeah. So the 90s go pretty much without a superhero. You have the Batman is really the only superhero, but Batman's already an icon that it's based on a cartoon series, or people are like, oh yeah, there's a cartoon series. This is what Batman is. So that doesn't attract any comic book readers. And then in early, I guess late 90s, Spider-Man. I think that moment in
Spider-Man, the movie, it was 2002.
Well, Spider-Man announcements, I guess, that they're making a new one, and then we get X-Men announcements, and then we get that. I think at that point, that's really where we can see, that's when the spike of these comics did go. I think our generation, I remember when Spider-Man got announced, and there was a big buzz. Even, it wasn't announced, it was like a trailer for Spider-Man came out. I actually physically went to a comic book store because I'm like, it's been a while since I've been to one. And Spider-Man was definitely one of my favorites that I remember reading. So I think the spike really was at that point. Now I think it's just kind of continuing the buzz for these guys, and especially introducing Guardians of the Galaxy, which is kind of dark.
And the other thing they announced was Secret Wars, which is a sequel to Secret Wars from the 80s. Marvel's big push for this is they kind of just released one teaser image, but it is kind of modern day heroes, and then it also looks like their older counterparts. So maybe some crazy time travel. People are trying to speculate maybe some multiple Earths shenanigans. One thing that DC's always kind of been popularly done is reboot their entire universe when they think the continuity is too complicated, which only serves to make it more complicated because they have these weird checkpoints. But Marvel's never done that. So kind of like almost anytime something comes out of the popular fan theory is that they are going to reboot and reconnect everything and just kind of try and start fresh with a clean slate of, this is what happened instead of having to worry about a flow chart of crazy shenanigans and loopholes and time travel.
That's pretty cool. I mean, definitely good things for comics. It seems that they're keeping it going. So, good for them.
For gaming news this week, just kind of, I was surprised. World of Warcraft, has a yearly expansion come out, and should have another expansion come out this month. And they released their subscription numbers, and anecdotally, I only know like one person who still plays World of Warcraft. I don't really hear about it, but they're still at 7.4 million.
That's a huge number.
I mean, that's huge. They dwarf
That's more than
all
watch
their
the premiere
competition.
of The Flash.
Well, what we also see is also the fact that, I mean, we're very, I guess we're very biased because, around here in the U.S., maybe it's not as popular anymore. But in Asia and the rest of the world, I think that's where they're getting the majority of their numbers. I mean, recently I heard that, I think it was some university in Illinois was opening a school-sponsored team of video games where there would be, that would be what you go in there. You get a scholarship to play video games for the school and go to tournaments and play video games.
Yeah, I heard about that actually.
I think it's in Illinois. That's what I was trying to look up.
I don't remember what the school was, but yeah, they don't necessarily play Warcraft because Warcraft doesn't have like a huge esports following. But like Dota 2 or League of Legends or I think Hearthstone maybe, like some of those larger esports that do bring in multi-million-dollar prize pools.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
Especially in a world where like MMORPGs fail constantly, and nobody can build one. Even Star Wars Old Republic comes out, and everybody's kind of like, yeah, it's fun-ish, and then after 6 months they have to go free to play. But I mean, World of Warcraft's been out for a decade, and I mean they've been pay to play. Every now and then they might have trials, and I think it's free up to level 20, but level 20 you get in like 3 hours at this point. So I mean, this is just a huge. It just makes money at this point.
I guess to add to that previous mention is the Robert Morris University in Chicago. It's recruiting video game guys to go to their school, and they're considering a sport. So
we should all play.
We should all apply.
Make a team.
They got Mario Kart?
I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see what their requirements are.
There's not a huge Mario Kart circuit.
I'm sure there will be. I mean, it'll be interesting to have college athletes, video game athletes, play like NCAA titles. Come, and make that a big buzz. Like, here's this week is Florida playing Florida State on NCAA EA Sports game.
Maybe I can get a cheerleading scholarship for them or something.
Sponsorships.
And then, despite kind of mediocre reviews, Destiny is actually doing pretty well. And even a month later, which sometimes in game, you do see that like really huge spike and then complete drop off. Activision's reporting 3.2 million players per day.
Wow.
That's huge.
So, I mean, I think they went on to say, like, the average play session is, like, an hour and a half, and the average player plays for 3 hours a day. So, I mean, these are not jumping. Destiny does kind of have that MMORPG feel to it with your daily quests and your weekly quests. So, it does kind of have that, I gotta make sure I get my materials so that way I don't fall behind.
Cool.
Just making it a habit.
Pretty cool.
For movie news, borderline rumor speculation, just kind of so
Let's
popular.
Just set up the seed.
That we almost can't ignore it. I feel like everybody else is reporting like it's real. Robert Downey Jr. is going to appear in Captain America 3, and the buzz is that this will be kind of the spark for Phase 3, and will kick off the Marvel Civil War. I think we've touched on it briefly, but basically the Civil War is the government decides that all superheroes have to be registered and licensed and give up their secret identity. And, Iron Man thinks this is a good idea, that they should train everybody. And Captain America says, people deserve a right to their secrecy and privacy, and this infringes upon their rights. And you have hero-on-hero battles for 100 issues.
Dang.
So...
That's finally over, though, right?
Yeah. That's been over, and everybody's resolved and friends again.
That was a huge storyline. I mean, going back to like comics being in the news, whenever any new episode towards the end of that series, spoilers, death of Captain America, the death of this person, how all these big stories were coming out, and people were looking back to him. I mean, I remember I was at a hotel room on the road for work and picking up the USA Today that morning, and in the main page of the USA Today, Captain America shot dead. Spoilers.
I remember being so infuriated because that USA Today article came out that Wednesday. Comic stores don't open until like 12 or 1 or whatever. Assuming that if you go there like right when they open. So, like, it was being reported there on news sites. I had people talking about it. And I was like, what? Well,
it's crazy. I remember the day.
Well, glad I didn't even want to remember. Glad I didn't want to, I didn't even have a chance to go in to buy it. But you're absolutely right. Civil War is one of the hugest properties that Marvel kind of created, for mega blockbuster events, and, kind of keeps cascading. News stories, Peter Parker revealing his secret identity came out. That was another kind of big one that got national buzz. They've already made a video game about this.
They did.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. It was for PS3, Xbox 360 generation.
I remember playing that, but that wasn't about Civil War.
It was supposed to be.
No, I played it. It didn't.
It is.
No.
Yeah.
Ultimate Alliance 2?
Yeah. The first one's not, but yeah, the second one is.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You played it.
It's all loosely based, but I don't know. Like as a comic fan, I guess I'm almost kind of tired of seeing heroes fight heroes. So, like, as guys who just see the movies for the most part, do you want to see Captain America and Iron Man fight? Like, is that...
Alright, so I'm thinking movie universe. I'm thinking movie universe. Do I want to see Robert Downey Jr. fight Chris Evans? I think, yes, I kind of do. The two personalities that the two characters impose, there's always been that tension set up between the two characters as to who's the leader of the Avengers. And it seems that both of them do take on that leading role. There's never been Captain America telling Iron Man what to do, or Iron Man telling Captain America really what to do. It's always been like, here's what we're doing. What's everybody else doing? Oh yeah, here's what everybody else needs to do. So it's interesting, and I think they're polarizing that. They're setting that up as polar, characters. There's this guy that's very conservative that grew up in the 30s and 40s. So he's very conservative, very pro. Conservative. The way things are, let's not go crazy with technology. He's cautious of that. And the polar opposite is Tony Stark, who's crazy about technology, about just new things. So I think they're setting up that polarization, and I think that's why, if before Civil War, you ask me like what characters really can lead the two groups, those are it. They're obvious.
One thing that made a comic book so popular was the fact that you have hundreds of heroes, and so you did have these big spectacles. But that Marvel universe is so much smaller. So I mean, even if we factor in movies that are kind of slated that we already know about, Ant-Man and Doctor Strange, and I guess if the Guardians get involved, you're only looking at 15 characters. So it'd be kind of interesting to see
Black Panther.
And Black Panther. Idris Elba himself. So it'd be kind of interesting to see how they do the divide, because so much of the storyline was oh man, Johnny and Sue Storm are anti-registration, but Reed Richards and Ben Grimm are pro-registration. So you had the Fantastic Four split up, and you had members of the X-Men on both sides. So it was supposed to be oh man, every house is divided.
That sounds like a great movie already.
Yeah. So I guess here they'd have to have Black Widow on one side and then Hawkeye on the other, and
it'll be interesting. Definitely, I think it's the right move by Marvel. It would be a waste for them not to go after this. So I think it's a great move by them. I hope they. I don't think they have to confirm or deny it for another 5-6 years. That's really, we got a plan up to. In Captain America 3, right? Right now, confirmed.
Yeah, for 2016.
Right, that's the last confirmed Marvel movie right now.
Well, with the release date, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is confirmed.
It's confirmed.
Doctor Strange is confirmed, and then Avengers. I guess that's it, because Avengers 3 is technically just talked about it. I don't think it's been confirmed.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So, Drew, your thoughts, opinions
on the Civil War?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm a little worried based on what you said about the lack of characters that could be involved. That would be a good reason to start doing some crossovers. I think that would be interesting, but don't know how well it would work. It's basically already been done in X-Men. It was a terrible movie, but
we do have release dates for Guardians of the Galaxy 2, July 28th.
Okay.
2017. So the next movies that we have,
and Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
Ant-Man. I didn't realize there was a date for that.
Ant-Man, Captain America, Doctor Strange, and Guardians of the Galaxy is the last thing in 2017. And I think, starting with Ant-Man, I think that's it's obviously on my source here. Phase 3. So I think Phase 3, that's the culmination. Is going to be the Civil War. If it is what they end up doing.
The rumor is Phase 3 and 4 to involve Civil War.
Yeah, when are they gonna actually do the whole Thanos?
I know, right?
Gauntlet?
They're gonna wait till Phase 5 for Thanos.
I feel like the phases are a lie. Phase 1 was the Avengers getting together.
Avengers assembled.
Phase 2 just was a collection of random movies. Iron Man 3, Thor 2, Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Guardians of the Galaxy have no thematic connections amongst each other.
Well, the only one being the Gauntlet.
Oh, you're right. They do have the 2 Power Stones.
Right.
So 2 movies are connected, and the other 2 aren't. And then Ultron has nothing to do, presumably. Maybe he has a Power Stone, but I don't know. The phases are a lie, is all I'm getting at.
They're just eras.
Yeah.
It's Feige's. What was his?
Feige.
Kevin
Feige. No, it's not Feige. It's Feige.
Oh, I apologize.
That's right.
I apologize to the Feige family.
According to James Gunn.
That's right. I think that's a good source.
And then last for movie news, we saw the trailer for Tomorrowland.
Sure, we did.
We'll start with our Super Disney fan.
Drew, go ahead.
That's incorrect.
We'll start with you, Drew.
Guillermo. Oh, okay. Well, the girl seems kind of awkward, the actress, but really there's not enough footage to really go by.
This is the first teaser. I mean, so this isn't a full trailer. It's a teaser. It does so well at setting up the teaser for this movie. Interesting to see Clooney. It seems that he's... I don't know. I mean, he seems to not be really playing a character, so to speak. We don't really get to see too much. But after the synopsis of the movie got released, he's going to definitely be a big part of it. It's very interesting to me because, one, it's based off of Disney attraction. So this is the theme park land of the Magic Kingdom. It's an original idea by Walt Disney himself, who is, as part of the synopsis, he will be a character in this movie. Walt Disney himself will play a role of the plot of this movie. Nobody really knows if there's going to be like an appearance or just a mention, and I really hope there's an appearance and Tom Hanks just shows up. Yes, I think he did perfectly. But this is
setting up a universe there.
Right. I mean, this is a way. I really hope this is I think other than Pirates, but even when Pirates 1 got set up, which is another movie based on a theme park, I don't think, and Haunted Mansion, I guess you can go with that, but this is the one that they're going strong. They're going with a strong director. They're going with a strong lead actor. There's definitely buzz and advertisement for this movie way, way ahead of its release.
The director passed Star Wars Episode 7
to go direct this.
Finish Tomorrowland.
Right.
He didn't want to pull Bryan Singer.
And then it's crazy, too. Also, they're actually shot this movie.
J.K. Abrams wasn't the first choice for Episode 7?
He was, but he turned it down.
Oh, okay.
And then it just came back to him, I guess. He changed his mind.
Interesting.
But yeah, so supposedly he was first choice and turned it down, and that's, he put his friends in for it, which, what's his face? Ryan Johnson and Brad Bird.
Yeah. Well, and it's great. I mean, I think it's going to be... I'm really, really looking forward to this movie.
It looks fun. It's going to be a fun romp. So, I don't think it's going to be epic.
Wonder if it's going to have any IMAX footage. I haven't heard anything about that.
That would be one movie that I think would be very nice to look at.
Yeah. I know he used IMAX in Mission Impossible 5. Or 4.
I think any kid who watches this movie and then goes to Disney World is going to be really disappointed. Because Tomorrowland
that's true.
Not, unless they revamp the entire section.
That's exactly it, and that's why I'm making signs to interject. Half of Tomorrowland in the next coming months and for the next year, Tomorrowland in LA, Tomorrowland in Disney Paris, and Tomorrowland at Magic Kingdom in Orlando are going to go through a major phase revamp, in particular to the sets. So to the actual buildings, the way the buildings look, they are going to redo that. One of the big attractions that closed at Tomorrowland was the Astro Orbiters, which was the rockets that were on top. You rode an elevator, got up to...
Really? People care about that?
Absolutely. I cared about it. That's a great ride.
It's
best of its kind.
It's Dumbo up to
up high. It's great.
That's
Nothing
why.
blocking you.
That's why
I think that's why it's the best thing. So that's closed right now. They physically took down the whole ride from the top of the building, and they're making it. They're redoing it in a way to reinvent it. They're building stuff on top of the buildings to make it, and I think they're really gonna, the concept art of this. That was another big release of this movie, Tomorrowland, along with the teaser. It's how the concept art of Tomorrowland is going to be, and which is very, very Walt Disney original idea, Tomorrowland, and the Tomorrowland at Anaheim in Disneyland. Way different, a lot more closer together, so you do see a lot more of these futuristic looking buildings more prominent than Magic Kingdom, since it's so spread out.
As long as they keep the Carousel of Progress, I'll be happy.
Carousel of Progress.
I hope that makes an appearance in the movie.
Yes. Well, let me let you into a little secret here.
That family.
Maybe a little bit over. No, it's within the last year. A couple months ago, went to Disney, and one of my favorite rides for personal reasons, it's the Carousel of Progress. It was the first Disney attraction I ever went into. So it holds a very special place in my Disney fanaticism. So with that, every time I go there, I try to go there. If it's nothing to do, it's go to a Carousel of Progress, do it every so often.
There's never a line.
Crazy thing here is, so I go this 1 week, and they're like, well, no, that whole area of the park is closed, and I'm like, okay. Go back the weekend after that, and they're like, yeah, this area of the park is closed, and I'm like, I asked one of the cast members, so what's going on? They're like, well, we're filming right now. This is a hot movie set. They're filming Tomorrowland in this movie set, and that part of the movie set, the area that was roped off, and even like they put like gigantic bushes to block the people and everything, and that area was the Carousel of Progress. In that area of the park, if you're familiar with Walt Disney World, it's the area behind Buzz Lightyear and Carousel of Progress. So it's got some futuristic looking areas. So that was interesting. The rumor was that George Clooney did not come down to film in Florida. That's the confirmation. But there's there's underground rumors that he did, and that was all part of the news, so it wouldn't create that big of a buzz.
But what about Tom Hanks?
No idea. Nothing on Tom Hanks.
As long as they have a resident flying ace, I'll be on board.
It'll be interesting. I can't wait for them to for this movie to be really successful, and for them to maybe revamp the Space Mountain. I mean, I'm super excited of how they're going to bring the elements of Tomorrowland, like the key elements of Tomorrowland. How are you going to bring the Space Mountain into Tomorrowland? How are you going to bring the Astral Orbiters? How are you going to bring the Carousel of Progress? That, to me, it's really, really exciting.
Are we going to get Frontierland, Adventureland, a Main Street USA movie? Oh, Doctor, I've been waiting for that.
Are you a little worried about Damon Lindelof's involvement?
With this? Absolutely. Absolutely not. No? I think I trust the guy as a sci-fi guy, great writer. If anything, the movie's going to benefit from having those powerhouses. I mean, you look at the director. This guy has all over the place. I mean, Ratatouille, Mission Impossible. He's directed all over the place. Now he gets another live action, still for Disney. Disney trusts this guy. Tom Cruise trusts this guy. So no, it's crazy. Tom Cruise apparently is a very difficult actor to work with, because he always wants such a prominent role in part of it, and he likes this guy enough to make him let him do his movies. So super excited about that.
All right, topic of the week.
Yes,
we're gonna run down Warner Brothers future movie plans. Just kind of touch base upon everything a little bit. So in 2016,
set up the how the story I guess got released. Which I think that's how we should start it.
My understanding of how the story got released is Warner Brothers, Time Warner had to give a shareholder meeting, and people were like, hey, where's our money going to come from? And they're like, oh, we're going to tell you where your money is going to come from. We have a 5-year plan, 6-year plan of these great movie releases that everybody's going to love, and each one's going to make $1 billion+. And we're going to tell you all their titles.
That's crazy.
No Interstellar 2 on there, though.
We did not talk Interstellar this week. There's your weekly mention.
In 2016, we have Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, which we already knew.
Confirmed, yeah.
March 2016.
All right, we can be specific. In August...
No, I just want to put that out there just to pick on them for putting it in March, that's all.
It's the new summer, man. It's the new beginning of the summer.
And then to close summer, in August, they have Suicide Squad.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. I completely agree. People always rumored and talked about it like, oh man, Suicide Squad movie. Yeah, that's cool. People talk and rumor about stuff constantly. I am shocked to see this on the docket. For those who don't know, Suicide Squad is a group of supervillains who are tasked by the government to do wet work assignments, and they, upon completion, they get years off their life sentences, as opposed to any sort of reward or recognition. And to keep the villains in line, they implant like a bomb in their head, so if they step out, it will just explode. I think this is a great and interesting concept. I think it's going to be unlike any of the other things that we've seen. But I also think that this is a direct response to the success of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
This will allow DC to use a group of heroes that won't have to be as kind of clean cut and Boy Scout and recognizable as Flash and Green Lantern and Superman. So they can be maybe a little bit raunchier and ridiculous and, kind of put together a group of a-holes.
I think they're going to be going... I was just looking at the director announced for Suicide Squad. It was David Ayer, or Ayer. I don't know how to pronounce it exactly. But his work is super dark. He's... mostly, anyway. He wrote Training Day and directed...
Starring Ethan Hawke.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was him and himself.
Strange that you would go to him before Denzel, but yeah.
Because Ethan Hawke was the protagonist in that movie. Denzel Washington might have been paid more, but he was not the main actor.
He won an Academy Award for it.
I know, that's why I brought it up.
It's too bad Edgar's not here. But, yeah, and most recently Fury, which is coming out this week. Very dark-looking movie. End of Watch from 2012. Dark. Don't know if that necessarily promises a dark movie.
Could this be the first, maybe not first, but the rated R comic book movie?
I don't know.
That people
I'm starting to think that maybe.
Because these guys are supposed to be killers.
The guy looks like Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's kind of funny.
I mean, and then David, you said David Ayer?
Yeah.
I'm looking here, it's another guy. This David Goyer.
He's writer. He's
a
a screenwriter. He did Batman Begins and whatever.
Well, this is interesting, though. In the project that he was involved was Blade. Is Blade going to make a comeback in this universe as part of the Suicide Squad?
Blade's Marvel, so no.
Wasn't he at some point both?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Dang it. That would be pretty cool, though.
Who cares?
Maybe Wesley Snipes will be in there with sunglasses and a sword. And
look at that.
Wink, wink.
They made an amendum. David Ayer, not David Goyer.
Oh.
So.
We're just reading here.
Because David Goyer is known for working in the comic universe, so they probably
the
just thought that.
That's right, that's what we do half the time. So Entertainment Weekly reported that.
Oops.
Incorrectly, and then corrected themselves. Not at the beginning of the article. They make you read the incorrect crap first, and they're like, "Oh, important addendum."
I said amendum. I'm sorry.
And then also 2016 Lego Ninjago. School kids will love it. And Harry Potter's spin-off, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And they kind of confirmed that this will be at least a trilogy.
Fantastic news for Potter fans. Definitely, I mean, this is J.K. Rowling is directly involved with this. This is the first actual confirmation for this stuff for the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. What they're going to introduce in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is one new character who is the writer of the book. The Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is the name of the book, textbook that they use for magical creatures class. But the guy was known in the Potter universe as the adventurer, kind of Indiana Jones character. So that character is gonna be the constant throughout all these trilogies. So it's gonna be based on him.
Is this what 100 years before Harry?
No,
Less, more,
less.
Okay.
Less. So this is the time with my understanding is this is like the parents of Harry Potter are kids.
Isn't it like the 40s or 50s?
Well, right. So
really early.
Right. So
do you think we're gonna see his best friend is Dumbledore and he was dating a girl?
Dumbledore is going to be involved with this. It will be interesting to see who is going to be Dumbledore because I'm sure he has to be involved with this. I think we're going to see some of the characters, maybe the Malfoy family, making an appearance.
Yeah.
Then you got this is pre-Voldemort years too,
right?
So you see some beginnings of the dark arts. I mean, somebody's it's a dark wizard beyond this. So if you read the series before the dark arts, there was always the dark magic.
Sieve.
What's that?
Sieve will be there. Little Sieve Palpatine.
Oh,
Sheev.
Sheev.
I've heard both ways.
Like,
Yeah,
took me by
by
surprise.
you.
So it will be pretty good. November 18th of 2016. That's good. My understanding is they're still writing this thing. No major announcement for cast. The one that just seems, and hear me out on this. When I read this is talking about the next Warner Brothers superhero genre titles. The fact that Lego Ninjago, or Ninjago, you mentioned it? Ninjago and Suicide Squad are like right there in the middle of the summer. What if, in true DC universe, Warner Brothers, what if Suicide Squad is a cartoon movie?
I don't know. Like, I can't imagine.
That's the only thing you can pull off between here and August 5th, right?
I don't know. I mean, it's probably something.
It has a director already attached to it. Maybe, I don't know. I hope they don't.
It's August 5th, 2016.
True.
I mean, that's 2 years.
It's crazy. It seems way too soon without any buzz.
I don't know. Like, I think it'll be fine. I don't think it'll be cartoon. They had a cartoon with them recently, Batman Assault on Arkham, that came out. Kind of mixed reviews. I personally didn't see it. I think that if they announce this movie this way and then it ends up being a cartoon, I think people are going to be pissed. I think
with David Ayer directing, this is going to be live action.
Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice bombs, fails. It won't. But it maybe doesn't make the $1 billion that the Avengers did, and that they will remake again when the second one comes out, because the movie just stinks. If this movie stinks, do you think this plan is still going to happen?
No, I think. I mean, maybe stuff that's almost already done, they'll just be like, screw it, let's still push it out. But I mean,
the cheap stuff to make, I think they'll push out.
But I mean, Ryan Reynolds, Green Lantern. DC was hoping that would be their Iron Man. That would be their jumping off point, their trampoline.
Idiots.
And it wasn't. And they changed direction. They knew they messed up and they bombed it. I mean, like, if you look at this list, everybody who gets a solo movie gets one before Green Lantern.
Long before Green
Cyborg, Shazam, Flash, Aquaman do. Like, they are waiting for the stink of that movie to end. Like, he doesn't get a solo movie until 2020. So
that's pretty ambitious for a company. So keep going down the list. Let's put them all out there.
2017, Lego Batman. Kind of like Suicide Squad. That just threw me. Maybe they've announced it.
They had announced it already.
It was announced, like a week or two ago.
So is this Will Arnett Batman?
Yes, Will Arnett Batman. So it's going to be comic.
I was just looking at Chris Lord. I don't know. The directors of Lego Movie. They're not directing either one of these, but they are on as producers.
I wonder if this is only going to be in Gotham, or if they'll have him bounce around and Lego
in the Lego universe.
So you got the new Lego Batman come out.
Those games sell like crazy,
right?
Already,
so it makes perfect sense.
They fast tracked it.
And also 2017. So that was May. June, you have a Wonder Woman solo film. So
that'll be the first Justice League character after Dawn of Justice.
Yes. A year after, I mean, that's good. I feel like that's good timing. That works for Marvel. Gal Gadot. She sure does look pretty in her couple scenes in Fast and Furious I've seen. I mean, maybe she can act. I don't really know either way. So I feel like they're definitely putting a lot of trust in her abilities.
Absolutely.
And then November, Justice League. No big surprise there. Part 1. What do they mean by Part 1?
This is the Dawn of Justice. Then the first thing you can call this is Part 1.
I mean, I hope that's a placeholder title, or it's not an indication.
I think it is.
I do not like to be continued movies. I don't like Kill Bill. Volume 1. The fact I know that guy ended up getting split up because of theater mandates. But I don't mind a cohesive universe. but I want a story with a beginning, middle, and end. Don't have me sit there for 2.5 hours and then at the end have Captain Barbados walk down the stairs and be like, "Oh, we're gonna go get Johnny Depp back alive!" Ha ha ha.
Barbosa.
Barbados.
That's not a complete movie. That's not a complete story. So I think it's ridiculous.
I mean, that one was okay, but what makes me think this is not going to be like that is jumping ahead a little bit. It's 2 years before the following Justice League movie, which they have labeled as Part 2. I don't think that's going to be like such a cliffhanger as Kill Bill or Pirates of the Caribbean, because those were filmed at the same time and released within a year's time. These are 2 years apart.
Could they be pulling a Disney? Remember how Disney said Episode 7 standalone, 8 standalone, 9?
Well, they are, except they're filling more standalones. I mean, the thing, I guess, to make a point here is the fact that this is investors, so these are the people who are going to give you money to back these movies. Mm-hmm. So you come out swinging to make sure that you can, this is the 5-year plan. To go out in front of these investors and already say Affleck comes back, Cavill comes back, Zack Snyder comes back, Amy Adams comes back, that is huge, and that is a huge trust in the characters, and they're guaranteeing success for this Dawn of Justice movie. I'm super interested to see Affleck. I mean, we're gonna get old Batman. This is it. I mean, Affleck is not getting any younger.
He's getting more jacked though.
Yes, he is.
Pictures, he is buffer here than he is in Mallrats.
He's great. I mean, the only thing that this movie hasn't going for it on any news that is released is anything Batman related. So that's what keeps me excited about it. Definitely a pretty gutsy call with these guys to just come out and say they're coming back.
Another thought on the Justice League, I think maybe they decided they wanted to split it up because they're kind of rushing it and they have a lot of characters they need to introduce and delve into, so they can squeeze in 2 or 3 more Justice League characters in between Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah. So are you thinking, I guess, go to 2018, Chris? What's the lowdown there?
We got a Flash starring Ezra Miller, not the same guy as the TV as previously reported or not reported, depending on how you look at it.
Is it just an indie actor, as far as I
know?
Or in indie films, rather.
And then Aquaman, starring Jason Momoa. I picked another person who, I've seen him. He sure is buff and, does fill up the screen from the scenes he's in. He was in Game of Thrones.
I mean,
but he had very minimal speaking in what I've seen him do. So I'd be curious to see how he does.
I've said this before, but I really like him mostly based off of seeing him in person at Dragon Con. And, I think the most speaking he's ever done is probably the Stargate show he was on, which is okay for what it is, Stargate Atlantis.
Well, what's interesting here is, so this is Jason Momoa. It's been confirmed to be part of Dawn of Justice, right?
Mm-hmm. 4 years from now.
No.
No. Yeah, I don't think he was mentioned for Dawn of Justice.
Dawn of Justice.
But he was confirmed
not even
to
Justice
be playing
League at this
Aquaman.
point.
Correct.
But we don't know if he's going to be in Dawn of Justice.
Correct.
Yeah.
With now this cat,
the only people I know for a fact mentioned are Bat, Superman, Wonder Woman,
the Trinity,
and Lex Luthor,
and Alfred, and Amy Adams. If you're getting very specific, but
right.
for superheroes,
Jimmy Olsen.
No.
What?
There was no Jimmy Olsen in Man of Steel.
There's no Jimmy Olsen? I'm sure they'll bring Jimmy Olsen.
They had Lawrence Fishburne to fill that.
But I was going to say Vic Stone, who becomes Cyborg. They do have him listed in Dawn of Justice. So that's the only other member.
Forgot about Cyborg.
So, but they haven't mentioned Black Adam or Flash or Aquaman being attached to that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the Stinger.
Alright. Fair enough.
Lego Movie sequel. No brainer after that thing made a bazillion. It made all the money in the world.
Right.
How can you make that work again?
They're not. I'm not.
New characters?
I imagine the Lego. Nah. I imagine the Lego movie sequel might be the Lego movie that I wanted, where it's just Lego pieces running around being crazy, maybe building stuff, and
no real
world items and scenes and people and playing around.
Fair enough.
Fantastic Beasts 2.
Okay.
For the Harry Potter. 2019, you have Shazam with Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam. And then in 2019, you also have Justice League Part 2. And then in 2020, you have Cyborg, starring Ray Fisher. And then Green Lantern reboot. Which I would think the Green Lantern reboot, Green Lantern, guy with power ring. There's 5 Green Lanterns of Earth. They don't have to have Jon Stewart be the ring wielder. Like, they could use I'm sorry, I said Jon Stewart. They don't have to have God, why am I blinking? Hal Jordan, Ryan Reynolds. They could just acknowledge that character, kill him off screen, whatever. And they could bring in like Jon Stewart or Guy Gardner, or bring in somebody different. Jon Stewart was famously part of the Justice League animated cartoon, so I feel like a lot of people would recognize from that. So, and it also kind of increase the diversity, which people always enjoy. So we'll probably watch every single one of these movies.
I will.
Yeah, I think so.
If Dawn of Justice is decent,
even if it sucks, man. If they do
true,
keep to this schedule,
they're going to have a bunch of different directors. I'm at this point most excited for Suicide Squad, just based off of David Ayer. So,
and it's the most unconventional in premise and not cast, but characters.
Interested to see if they'll throw in Harley Quinn as well. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, on one hand, I want to say no, but on the other hand, she's ridiculously popular.
Yeah.
She's going to be anchoring that movie.
In the DC, they're only making her a bigger character lately. Like, they're giving her own solo. They have her anchor the Suicide Squad in the comics.
That could be the first mention of the Joker, too.
So that brings me to the point. Who the hell are they going to fight? Look at all these movies. Batman, Superman, Dawn of Justice, Lex Luthor. And who knows who.
Yeah, there's rumors abound of other ones as well.
They can fight Lex Luthor. And just Lex Luthor.
Okay. Suicide Squad. I mean, a bunch of bad people.
Random evil dictator with some super weapon, or
introduction of Doomsday.
So it's kind of I'm seeing a mixture of Guardians of the Galaxy and Watchmen kind of a deal.
Yeah. Who are they going to fight? Wonder Woman, she's going to fight other demigods. She's going to fight Ares and Circe and her family, basically.
And they said, recently I read, they announced they were going with whatever Wonder Woman's latest comic story is.
Where she's Zeus's daughter.
Zeus's daughter, which a lot of fans didn't like.
Let's see, she's made out of clay. And her mom really loves her. She turns into a girl.
It's like Power Rangers.
She's like, no throws her.
Maybe Lego Batman, the Joker, comes back here.
That'll be our
the Joker, the Penguin. Lego Batman, hear me out.
It's going to be everybody.
Yes, exactly. You bring in the typical 60s Batman superstars.
Joker, Penguin, Catwoman, and Riddler.
Joker voiced by Mark Hamill. You bring Mark Hamill back for the Joker.
It's funny because every time he says I'm done with the role, they're like, do you want to do it one more time? He's like, all right.
And it's the same year Star Wars Episode 9 or 8 is supposed to come out. So.
Well, he's going to die in Episode 7.
Oh. Spoiler! That's Han Solo. What are you talking about?
Spoiler!
He's only going to lose his hand.
His other hand.
Justice League Part 1, they're going to fight Darkseid. Flash, I mean, he has his own rogues gallery. He can fight Captain Cold, Mirror Master.
See, here's what I don't.
Isn't there an evil Flash as well?
He does. Professor Zoom.
Here's the problem, or what I think is going to happen is: do you think DC / WB Warner Brothers is going to waste meaningless bad guys? I understand Flash has their own bad guys, and Aquaman has their own bad guys, and so does Wonder Woman. But I think they go somewhere with it, as far as these bad guys. I mean, you look at Marvel. You look at the bad guys that Marvel had and brought in. Every single one of them ties into this bigger story of this Shield and Hydra, and it's all tying into something. DC, I think, would be. They would really hit.
Does DC have anything like that? As far as like on the villain side?
Nothing jumps out at me. They have Hive, but that's nowhere near as like big as Hydra or AIM or kind of the Marvel influence.
Nothing like Thanos or
Darkseid.
Apocalypse.
Darkseid.
Yeah,
Darkseid lives in Apocalypse.
Okay.
Not the person. I realize what you're saying now. I don't know, like interconnectedness. I think DC Warner Brothers has always been kind of accused of being reactionary. I think this is still reactionary.
Sure.
I think these are individual movies. I think this is a spaghetti plate against the wall. They're seeing what sticks. I don't think that this is a vision of an interconnected universe. I think that people will pop up and they'll have Easter eggs for sure. But I don't think that they sat down and they pinned scripts or outlines for all these movies, and they were like, "Hey, you know what our story really needs? It needs an Aquaman villain here because he can introduce this, which will then carry over here." I think they looked at their characters and said, "Who can we get movies made out of fast?" And so I think the only connections you'll see are loose, and the to be continued at the end of Justice League Part 1.
How crazy is it that just and this is just, again, we don't talk about rumors, but this was an interesting one. Whenever Entertainment Weekly was talking about this big announcement, one of the things that they make a point on it is, yes, you do announce that the Justice League movie is going to have the big names coming back: Affleck, Cavill, Gal Gadot, and then Amy Adams. She's Lois Lane. Why do they make such a big deal? Do we think she's going to be a bigger role?
She's a big name.
She's a big name actress, I agree.
It's important to investors, I guess.
I guess so. Interesting that they do make that.
Now, most of the heroes are already cast, but Shazam and Green Lantern, I think?
There's only 2 left.
Who would you like to see as Shazam?
Dwayne Johnson. I don't know. That's a good
question.
Who
Who could fight Dwayne Johnson?
Vin Diesel. I don't know. That's a good question because Captain Marvel and Black Adam are kind of foils of each other. So in theory, it should have to be somebody of similar stature. I was surprised when Dwayne went black. I thought he was going to play Shazam.
Yeah. Maybe he will.
What about Green Lantern?
Play both.
Well, I guess it depends on which Green Lantern they choose as well,
Yeah.
Should it be, you think, someone along the lines of Ryan Reynolds? Because I really
Wayne Brady.
Don't like Ryan Reynolds.
I like Ryan Reynolds, but Ryan Reynolds did not play comic book Hal Jordan. Comic book Hal Jordan's, he's a risk taker, and he might be kind of a playboy, but he wasn't he wasn't a jokester. He's still very serious. He treats the role as if he's a cop, and it's his beat, and he's protecting. They tried to turn Green Lantern into Iron Man with silly jokes, and that's all I got. Silly jokes.
Yeah.
I guess so that's the end of that. And then Warner Brothers also, a lot of sites that have been reporting this is, as a side note, WB or Warner Brothers also announced that they're working on 2 more DC movies: another Superman solo film with Henry Cavill, and a standalone Batman film with Ben Affleck. So this is
before 2020. They're saying, right?
Before 2020, and then this article that
throw in the mix.
This article that I'm on Entertainment Weekly talks about Sandman movie that's supposed to be in the works with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Again, rumor. We don't talk about that, but we're talking about it.
We're talking about a lot.
Guillermo del Toro.
Every week we don't talk about
League
rumors.
Dark.
Del Toro gets attached to so much stuff. I feel that kind of falls through. So, and I don't. Justice League Dark's not happening.
Okay.
Unless Constantine, the television show, ends up being a huge runaway success, Justice League Dark is not a movie that's being made.
Not happening.
Pretty good. Final thoughts of this whole announcement, I guess. What do you guys make out of it?
It's a little much, I guess. Thinking like 6 years in the making now, or not in the making, but from here. Are we gonna lose interest? Are we building up too much anticipation now?
I feel they released their cards way too soon.
Mm-hmm.
Just lay them out on the table. Based on that, I wish they would have just said, "This is old rumors," But then, Warner Brothers comes out and makes an official announcement. I think they just let everything out of the bag way too quick. Again, doesn't make me excited. I mean, hit me up with this before Superman Returns and tell me that they're making all these movies. I'll be super excited, but they haven't set up a premise. This is super ambitious for them. The premise isn't there for them to just do all this.
Conversely, though, I hate hearing about rumors, so they just kind of threw a whole bunch of that out. So we don't have to hear what movies they're making. This is rumored, But I mean, there's still going to be plenty of rumors about the movies, but I guess that's a few less rumors to worry about.
I think that, like I said before, this is kind of reactionary. Marvel said before that they have a secret billboard or chalkboard with everything planned out. I think this is DC trying to, go toe-to-toe with kind of the reigning champion Disney right now.
And they have to.
Proving that they also have a plan and that they also have multiple properties and, that they're the same.
It's the right
kind
thing.
Movie politics. Hollywood
It's the right thing. I mean, you always have a studio that makes the end of the world movie, and then there's the other one that makes the same end of the world movie. The alien invasion movies. Both the studios make the alien invasion movies. So, I think it's just Hollywood. I really wish we had better people behind these things.
Can't wait till we get the competing NerdEXP biopics.
That's right.
Well, loyal listener, thanks for sticking around. Who would you want to see play us in those biopics? What do you think of the Warner Brothers announcements? We'll love to hear from you. You can email us at nerdexp@gmail.com, or you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at NerdEXP. Drew is at The World is Square Backwards.
Not the
World is Square Backwards.
There you go.
Backwards is not part of it. That's the instructions. Spell World is Square Backwards. And then Guillermo is on Facebook, but he probably won't accept your Facebook request.
That's right.
If you want to hear more from Drew, you can listen to his unnamed podcast. Once it gets a name, he will gladly tell you what that is.
Still waiting on that one.
It's a dark arts.
It's in pre-production.
Well, thank you, Drew.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guillermo.
As always.
And thank you, listener. I hope you level up your nerd IQ. Level up, friends.